My ex lied and cheated on me. 16F 17M, my current boyfriend who we'll call Jackson, and my ex-friend boyfriend 18M who we'll call Daniel. At the time we were friends, I created a group chat, and occasionally we would have an argument, but usually it was a nice place to talk until a couple days ago. Let me start off with saying that Daniel has ADHD. In the past, he explained how it was for him, and both me and Jackson listened to his experience and understood why he did certain things. In the past, Daniel had come to us about dating multiple girls at the same time and about having multiple relationships over the course of this year. He dated me from November of last year to February of this year. I broke up with him because I found Jackson. Daniel was heartbroken but insisted on being friends. So then Jackson and Daniel were talking in the GC. Daniel said that he got a fiancée and that he was with for almost a year and asked me to fill in the details to Jackson. Daniel told us to not judge him, and Jackson said that it would be hard not to. Jackson said this because he recalled Daniel talking about all the girls he was with in the GC and assumed that Daniel was a cheater. Daniel thought that Jackson was judging him for having a fiancée. When I tried to explain what was happening to Daniel, he accused me of choosing Jackson's side. The next day, Daniel was still upset about what Jackson said. And when I mentioned it when I was confused about something and came up with a solution for both him and Jackson to solve their misunderstanding, he started yelling and being rude to me. He called me names and was overall a difficult person to talk to. We had to stop talking for a while because it was getting out of control and I was slightly irritated. Later I explained it to him again, and after a while he realized why Jackson had said that. He said that he never cheated on his fiancée. We asked how that was possible, and explained to him how it didn't add up. After a while of asking questions, he admitted that he made up the girlfriends. He admitted that he had lied to us for months. And then he started yelling at us for asking so many questions. When we asked why he lied, he invoked the fifth. We were left in the dark. I wasn't happy because I was the main one helping him for hours with his relationship problems. After about 5 minutes, I realized that something else didn't add up. Daniel said that his relationship with his fiancée had started in September of last year, but our relationship started in October of last year. So I asked him if he remembered when me and him had gotten together. He said it was in August, and insisted that we broke up in September. He insisted to the point of where I had to show him the dates on text messages. When I asked him why did he lie, he said that his memory was foggy. I asked him to be honest with me and if he did or did not cheat. He finally came clean. He said he was sorry and thought that I had cheated on him. I didn't, and that I was too good for him. He said that he did love me and didn't know what had gotten into himself. Then he asked me why I broke up with him. I said I don't think that's a good idea and that it might sound harsh. After I warned him 2 to 3 more times, he insisted and I told him. After he was complaining about what I said and how it was mean and harsh, he said that I wasn't the me he knew. I had to write a list of things I liked about him in order for him to feel better. The next morning today I asked how everyone was. He said that he wasn't too good because he was interrogated by his best friends, me and Jackson, and that he wanted to die. Jackson intervened and told him that it was only lack of communication and mistakes, and that he could be redeemed. Daniel said that it was very hurt that his best friends would do that to him, and that it was very painful. It seemed like he didn't know why we interrogated him. So I told him that we did that because he was saying things that didn't add up, and at the end of the day he was in the wrong. I told him that as a result of his lying we asked questions and eventually found out what he lied to us about. He responded by saying that I was acting like he wasn't human when I was just calling him out on what happened. Then he asked me why I brought up the past and that it's in the past. I responded by saying that he brought it up first and that if he didn't want to hear about it, he shouldn't have brought it up. He then calls me a bitch, dumbass, crazy, slut, and more. I'm not bothered by that, though. He also calls Jackson, and Jackson agrees with me on how I was right. I suggested that we change the conversation, but he insisted that we stayed in this. He proceeded to degrade me and be rude. I do admit that after a while I did leave a retort or two. When Jackson started agreeing with me, Daniel asked to leave the GC. After a while we figured out how to kick him out and continued our day. After a few months, Jackson gets a text on his phone and it's a Sheen link from Daniel. It gave us a good laugh, and then Jackson tells Daniel that he should apologize to me. Daniel gives me a half-assed apology and expects me to accept it. So then, I tell him how to properly apologize and he gets all defensive again. I then send him a long message explaining how his behavior affects me, and if he wants to remain friends, he'd have to change it. He then tells me that he was busy and couldn't read it. After a few hours, he's no longer busy and just doesn't want to read it because he's making up every excuse under the sun. He claimed I was making everything about me, but in reality the conversation was mainly him not reading the message. Then, after hours of arguing, I gave him an ultimatum. I said he either reads the message now he wasn't doing anything, or we don't continue our friendship. He then proceeded to insult me and try to say something rude about my relationship with Jackson, but it was just funny. I retorted, said goodbye, and blocked him.